We're live.
I know. You're like, hey, you're not supposed to do that. I thought it was interesting. We were talking about which sides of our faces were more attractive. Wait, we're both gorgeous. They're both equally
Right.
gorgeous.
Wait, is that social
So
and emotional
yes.
intelligence?
I think the intelligence part is saying that we both are. Hey, I'm gonna take full screen for 1 second because I'm gonna talk about you, Scarlett. So I want to say hello. Which here we'll vote at the end. This side or this side.
There you
Okay.
go. Wow.
Um, welcome to Intercultural Spark. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So we have conversations on this show about the spark inside each of us that drives you to spark change in the world with your business or life project. So we bring people on who are just doing amazing inspirational things in that area to share, I hope, and inspire you to also realize you have the power to make change in the world. So I am your host. I am Deanna Schaas, the founder of Intercultural Talk, which is a digital, intercultural, and real life marketing agency. And today we're talking with Scarlett Lewis. Scarlett has a formula for life. It's courage plus gratitude plus forgiveness plus compassion in action, and that equals choosing love. And that is the formula that she lives by and has spread around the globe with a free social emotional learning program that's available 2 million children in 10,000 schools across 111 countries. Her spark was actually ignited by an unimaginable tragedy, but Scarlett's going to tell us all about that and actually how you can get involved and also learn more and become socially and emotionally intelligent. So welcome to Intercultural Spark. Hi, Scarlett.
Hi, Deanna. It's so great to be here.
Thank you so much. And I wanted to talk. So it's funny, you must run into this where this is your lived experience, and most people have a hard time talking about what happened, which was your son Jesse, who was killed in the shooting at the Sandy Hook Elementary School years ago. And I know it's interesting, but my palms get sweaty talking about it, and I imagine people have that because they imagine what it would be like having that experience in their life. I wanted to start with, Scarlett, if we can, forgiveness. I see that big word forgiveness on the board behind you. I know that forgiveness was so important and powerful for you. You've even won like an international award for the power of forgiveness. Could you just talk a little about what happened and how you came to that point of forgiveness as the start probably to driving a lot of what you do?
Yeah, absolutely, Deanna. Thank you. Forgiveness was probably one of the most important parts of my healing journey, and something that I didn't really understand, honestly, before I started. And a lot of people don't understand.
Mm.
But what I realized was that it was, for me, the only way I could take my personal power back and not allow
Mm.
the young, troubled, hurting man who murdered my child to have control over my thoughts that impact how I feel, that then impact how I show up in my relationships and my behavior. And so taking my personal power back for me was through forgiveness.
Mhm. Was there a process that you use? It's so I get that. I get that. There's that quote that says, when you hold on to anger, it's like holding on to a hot coal to throw on someone. So I totally get philosophically that need to forgive. But you've even said that you felt bad for Adam Lanza. Lanza in the sense of that I think he had been bullied, and that if he had maybe had more social emotional care, that he might have had a different outlet. So talk, I guess, a little bit about what was your process? Were there specific things that you did? Was it through praying? Like, how did you get to that point, though, even when intellectually you understand the need to forgive?
Well, look, I think that it's really important, Deanna, that we start to change how we're looking at things that are happening in our world, change the conversation around them. Because you wake up in the morning and you take a look at what's going on, and we have mass shootings now every day.
No,
And
there's just another awful one yesterday.
right. And so I think rather than focusing on the issue itself, we need to focus on why these things happen and
Mhm.
what leads a person, what kind of pain and suffering leads a person to perpetrate these atrocities. Because I mean, if somebody, you know, my 6-year-old son left a message on our kitchen chalkboard, and that informs everything that I do every day, all
Mhm.
day long. And those 3 words are nurturing, healing, love. If people can give and receive nurturing, healing, love, if they feel like members of a community, if they feel belonging and connection, they are not going to perpetrate atrocities like this. So, uh, how do we facilitate that understanding in our communities, within our schools, even within our homes, so that we can raise individuals who feel good about themselves, their place in the world, they understand they have a purpose and a meaning, and they flourish instead of being so angry and resentful and blaming and finger pointing to the point where they not only want to kill themselves, but they want to off put that pain onto as many people as possible. Clearly, um, we've been having the wrong conversation, and I believe that the tide is turning. And of course it's never too late. So that's wonderful. I
Mhm.
mean, the people that understand that they have a choice and that they can choose love and they know how to do that, they will obviously make that choice. And
Mhm.
so I knew, my 6-year-old son leaves home. He goes to school. I'm supposed to make gingerbread houses with him that afternoon. But instead, I am finding out that he was viciously gunned down alongside 19 of his first grade classmates and 6 educators. Um, that what happened is 100% preventable. And it's so amazing to me that people aren't saying that. I've actually never heard anyone else say that school shootings are 100% preventable, except for Molly Hudgens, who wrote Saving Sycamore, who personally disarmed a student who came into her school ready to commit mass murder. She's the only other person, but in effect, they are, and we know how to do it. We just have
Mhm.
to have the courage
Mhm.
to start implementing what we need to in order
So
to do that.
talk a little bit more of that, because I know there's a balance. I think even with the parents of the children from Sandy Hook, there's people that are pursuing gun laws, which I'm shocked. I think Texas just this week passed a law, or at least it passed the Senate, to have no permits for public carrying of guns. It's like I don't understand how that can even be a thing. But you've approached it not from the gun control. I don't know if you also look at gun control, but from the social emotional learning approach of getting it into schools. And just recently, you launched the new COVID related program. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your program, and then how you're saying it's preventable? What's the power of social emotional learning, and how can that make a difference?
The power of social and emotional learning and choose love is that we address the cause of the suffering that leads to violence, bullying, substance abuse, the majority of mental illnesses, suicide, depression, so much of the suffering that we're seeing. We need to change the way that we're thinking about it. And of course, the way we're programmed to think is that we are reactive in nature. So we focus on the negative. We have this negative bias. The majority of our thoughts every day are negative and repetitive.
Well, and that, just to emphasize, that's a natural brain
It
process.
is. It
So I
is.
can't cite the study, but I know that people say like it's much easier for us to focus on the negative. In fact, I just did a process yesterday. It's a guy named Brian Fretwell who does neurology, and he does he calls it a mindset workout to get people to ask questions like, what went well this week because of you? Like, not only to focus on the positive, but to actually acknowledge that we have the power to make positive things happen. People don't think like that.
Well, we have a negative bias, and so that leads us to focusing on negative aspects of a situation, and we focus on the problem. And unless we start addressing the cause of the problem, and that literally, we will never get over this. In fact, it'll continue to escalate.
So you've had your program with, and by the way, sorry, I know I'm interrupting myself, but at least that's more polite than interrupting you, my guest. So if you're watching live, please feel free to ask questions in the comments. So thank you so much for everyone's here, and we love your questions in the comments. So when we address the problems seem so big and so overwhelming and so many multiple causes. I'm thinking, like, when did you start to realize that what you were saying was making a difference? Because now, 10,000 schools in 111 countries, there was a time when you were just imagining this curriculum and nobody had seen it. So how did you realize that it was resonating, and how did you even start with the first one to get it out there?
Well, in reality, the type of curriculum or a small version of it was already available, and it was called social and emotional learning, although it was in very few schools, and it was literally priced out of the market for my son, very expensive, and required extensive teacher training.
And your program's free, correct?
That's why our program is no cost, because these are essential life skills that we need that can help us find meaning and purpose in our life, help us choose love, help us flourish and thrive. These are the skills that we know, and they're backed by decades of scientific research. We know this stuff. We know that kids need this. We know about brain development now. We know what we need to do for our young kids. And it's just doing it. It's shifting the focus from the problem, from people wanting to politicize it and make money from it, to literally doing what's in the best interest of our kids. And so I realized there was a solution out there. And so I also realized, gosh, I know this. I'm going to have to dedicate my life to making sure that every child has access to what we know is in their best interest, to what we know that they need, and to what we also know can reduce and prevent the majority of the suffering that we're seeing.
I know your program, I'm thinking of the compassion, the idea of connection, to feel that sense of belonging. Because if you feel like a sense of belonging, then you're connected to others, you care about others. And yet we're coming off of a year and a half of even further isolation, and lots of studies now too, talking about teen and child mental health has just really plummeted because of COVID. And I know parents are asking how they can help if their kids can't go out and about. What advice do you have for parents?
Well,
because a lot of this starts at home.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say the whole messaging of social isolation was not well thought out when it comes to mental health.
What do you mean by that?
Well, because as human beings, we need connection. We are wired for connection. Connection is love. And when we don't get it, there are going to be problems, and we're seeing them now, and we're going to be seeing them escalate. Social isolation was not the message. And I know I'm saying this in hindsight, but really the messaging should have been easy for me to say, right? Socially distanced, but I'm sorry, physically distanced, but socially connected. That's the message. And that's really what we need to be thinking about going forward, because that is what we need to be doing, and we need each other socially. And so we're going to start seeing, and we are actually, look at the news. We're seeing the impact of that. We're seeing it in our hospitals with escalating admissions for kids with mental illnesses, and we're entering a really tough time. But their parents can be a big part of the solution. Choose Love has a parenting program, several actually, that can help start the conversation in your homes. Here's the interesting thing that I realized as a parent of two boys, that when I started learning about these essential life skills, like learning how to have healthy relationships, how to manage our emotions, how to not only grow through, but be strengthened by difficulties and challenges, roadblocks in your life, how to make responsible decisions, and more. These are essential life skills. And I realized very quickly, when I started researching them early on as a solution, that I don't have these. I don't have a lot of them. I graduated from college. I was previously an investment banker and a bond trader and a real estate agent. I did a little bit of everything as a single mom, but I didn't have a lot of social and emotional intelligence. And
that just wasn't even an issue. I know when I was, I remember growing up in grade school and I was getting picked on. And so the guidance counselor, it was awful. The guidance counselor pulled the whole group of girls into her office, and then each one had to say what they thought about the other. And so basically it was like everyone telling me what they didn't like about me. It was so awful. Wait, I'm so glad. Thank you, Scarlett, for letting me process that here publicly. That was not a good approach to social emotional learning, but we just didn't talk about it,
We didn't talk about it because there wasn't the research either that there is now on the absolutely essential nature of teaching these life skills. And so, but I was 44 years old when Jesse was murdered, and I started researching a solution. And I realized quickly, gosh, I don't have these skills and tools. And so I've learned them through helping develop this program, the Choose Love movement program. And I have to tell you, my life is exponentially better. It really is. I'm able to be much more effective. I'm more self-confident. I understand my place in the world. I know my purpose. I'm happier, more well-adjusted. And this is available for everyone. And it's not hard. It's not rocket science, but it is all backed by science. These are just lessons that we can teach ourselves now at any time. And the beautiful thing is our brains are constantly adapting. So, if you're thinking, well, I am who I am.
No, I believe you can learn across the lifespan. In fact, I feel like if you don't learn across the lifespan, you've stopped living. Scarlett, we're going to do, I guess this is my form of station identification. We are going to do our flash exercise. So I have talked about this because I am a marketer and coach, but I'm a fitness person. And I believe in the power of interpretive aerobics, which means fitness that actually has a deeper meaning. And Scarlett is like a kindred soul because she has tell us about our power pose. So you have a yoga move that actually encompasses the entire idea behind the social emotional learning. So so I hope everyone at home, if you're able, do we stand up or do we sit for this?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay.
It's so easy, and I wouldn't classify it as specifically as a yoga move.
Okay.
But we call it a power pose.
Okay.
And actually,
I'm going to spotlight you so that we can all see it. So tell us what we're going to do.
Okay, so it's actually originated by Amy Cuddy, and it's just an expansive pose. It's a pose that makes you feel powerful. So it's with arms spread wide and an open chest and your chin up and
right.
Feet
Coming
apart.
Back. So arms wide,
yeah,
chest up.
yeah, like just an open something that makes you feel really good and powerful. Like mine looks like I call it Wonder Woman. I've got my hands on my hips and my chin up and my feet apart, and I just feel really good, and it really helps us access our executive function. It gives us self-confidence. I do this before every time that I speak in front of an audience. It's called a power pose.
So I'm going to stand up. So I've heard that before when you stand before an audience where you go like big, wide, and then here.
Yeah.
All right.
We've got kids do it. We've got kids doing it in classrooms, and they do the dab. I
love it. Wait, that's the dab.
They've got some awesome power poses. And so it's kind of a go-to for them before a test, before, going into a big group of kids or doing a sporting event or something that they feel a little bit anxious about. It gives them confidence, and they say it makes them feel good about themselves. And so it's good for, I always say like kids, and I always think that we're just like big kids,
believe me, I know people who are colicky. Oh, there are so many things once you've had someone grow up and like you see what your child's like. Yeah, people colicky or like habits that people have done their entire life. The habit stays, it's just the person ages. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I feel like we're just big kids. I actually tell kids, when I'm talking to high schoolers, I say, it's great that you're learning these skills and tools now, because if you didn't, you would be facing the same issues as adults.
Mm-hmm. So Stephanie has a question. She says, Scarlett, what's the largest stage you feel should hear your message? And have you considered a TED Talk, or have you even done a TED Talk?
I've done a TED Talk.
Okay.
And but it was really focused on my book, Nurturing Healing Love.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a little bit more spiritual. But it's probably time for another one. But I do, Stephanie, that's what I do. I talk to any audience that is available, that wants me to talk to them, anybody who will listen. From the very beginning, for the last 8 years, I have shared this message. It's so important. It's a little bit different way of thinking. And I thought, okay, my job is to create the best of the best social and emotional learning character development program, include all of the elements: mindfulness, positive psychology, growth mindset, grit, make it trauma informed, include post-traumatic growth, SEL, character education, all this stuff, condense it into one program and then offer it at no cost. Woo! And then my job's done. But then what I realized very quickly was that actually the other half of my job has been to cultivate the courage that it takes to think about the problems in a little bit different way and to address them in a different way by addressing the cause instead of being reactive and continuously just trying to focus on putting out fires. Yeah, it's important. We have a lot of stuff going on and we have limited resources. I mean, time, energy, and money. But until we take a portion of those resources and use them to address the cause of the pain and suffering that is, making all this stuff happen, we're never going to get to a solution. This is a solution.
Well, let's look at it for a minute. So I've pulled up, so this is the website. It's the chooselovemovement.org, how to SEL. So right there, you can see that there's for parents, educators, and for coaches. You're thinking like sports coaches. I'm going to close
Yeah,
this because,
close that window.
okay.
That's a new program that we have. Yeah. So if you click the X,
Which X?
go back to the website. That won't pop up again. That's a pop-up. That's a how to SEL program, which is amazing. I would refresh,
Oh,
go
you
back.
just want to go to the
Yeah,
main
just go to the
website.
main
Okay.
website.
And one thing before we go, because I know my friend Jerry, who's a grandparenting activist, is likely watching us. And so he just wanted to make sure that grandparents are, because that grandparents are an amazing partner. And so maybe
Oh,
for parents and
Jerry,
grandparents. Yes.
thank you. That is so huge. In fact, we had a webinar last night for our how to SEL, which you're looking at right now.
Mhm.
And my mom was there. She's a
Mhm.
grandparent, and she was blown away, as I was
Mhm.
blown away by the questions that we got, that parents have the hardest life questions about parenting. And we partner with the top experts, and they were getting answered. And my mom was just saying, you know what, this is stuff that we didn't know, we didn't have answers to. There's no parenting course that gives
Right.
you the answers to these questions. This is it. And by the way,
Mhm.
some parents don't have these skills and tools themselves, and you can't give what you don't have. And I will say that front and center. I did
Mhm.
not have these skills and tools, and I couldn't give what I didn't have. I have them now, but I wish that I had
Mhm.
had this information when I first started out. In fact, our programs are lifespan, they start prenatally, and it is
Mhm.
vital that even pregnant moms understand these the awareness that how they thoughtfully respond to their environment is going to impact their baby's forming brain.
Oh, interesting.
We have an infant toddler program, oh, so vitally important. And I just implore anybody who's listening to please print this off and drop this off at any daycares, private or public,
Mhm.
that you pass, because that is such an important time in a baby's forming brain. And if you were like me, I was a single mom. I dropped my
Mhm.
6-week-old son off at a
Mhm.
daycare. There
Sure.
were many other kids there, and I know that they didn't know what they could be doing for my baby's brain development. I know this. I
Sure.
dropped first Jesse off at a private daycare, and although I love this woman, I know she did not understand about brain development.
Mhm.
And then we went to a big tutor time daycare, and there was just so many kids, and a different kind of chaos. But
Mhm.
this type of learning is so vitally important. It's just essential, and we have
Mhm.
it. We
And
have
Scarlett, with
it.
that monthly coaching that I was just seeing on the website, so those are just free coaching sessions that anyone who signs up can participate in?
If you go, so that's a special program that we have. It's a subscription program.
Okay.
Talk about grandparents. My mom gave that to all three of her daughters-in-law, and we have a
Oh,
lot
nice.
of grandparents that are gifting this subscription service. But if you just go to our website, which is chooselovemovement.org, all of those resources, their lifespan resources, are no cost, and they are life transforming and life saving.
Okay.
There it is. There's our website. Now just click out of that.
Of the yeah, and
Yeah, there
there's
you go.
beautiful Jesse.
Yeah. So you see there's a count.
Yeah.
It continues to go up. But if you keep scrolling through, stop right there, Deanna. If you could go up to our model. This is
Mhm.
the most comprehensive model in the SEL industry, and it is an industry. But ours is no cost. If you go back to
Oops.
the wheel, oh, all these great pictures.
I know. We're gonna jump in a second. Let me go back to the wheel, and then we're gonna jump to our flash
Yeah,
photo
let me just explain
section.
this
Yeah,
wheel for
please.
a moment.
Mhm.
These are everything that we have. Most programs have one of the slices of the pie. We're the whole pie, and we
Wow.
start this learning with the self, because you have to be able to love and appreciate yourself
Mhm.
before you can love and appreciate
Mhm.
anyone
Well, it
else.
was even your own journey where you had to forgive and kind of find yourself again. Which, by the way, and I don't want to stop what you're talking about this great thing, but you come across as so joyous. Like you have such a positive, happy vibe, and that, like, how do you find? It just seems that you find so much joy in life, and that's phenomenal to me in terms of how you found that path back to joy.
I do. I do. And it was a path back, but when you're present, and I really practice being present in the
Mhm.
moment in my life. It's the best way, by the way, to live life with the fewest regrets is to be present with the ones that you love. That means in the moment where life is happening, not not
Mhm.
ruminating over the past like we do negatively,
Sure.
or planning or fearing for the future, but literally being in the present moment with the ones that you love. And really, we need to be, especially with all the distraction today
Mhm.
out there, we need to be mindfully aware. Thank goodness when I was with my boys, it was before the day of cell phones, because I'm equally addicted.
Oh, I agree with that
But
too. I can't stand when I see people at the coffee shop and the parent is on the phone and the kid's just vying for attention.
you're going to be reading about me in the news one day as I go to a table at a near, when I'm out at a
Sure.
restaurant and I see these two, and it happens so often, beautiful
Mhm.
kids that
Yep.
are on their iPads, and two parents, both
Mhm.
on their cell phones, all at the same table. And I just want to say, wow, what I wouldn't give to have my 6-year-old son, who is
Sure.
turning 15 next month, would be,
Mm.
what I wouldn't give to have one more second with him. And you have your beautiful kids right in front of you, and you are missing this, and you're going to
Mm.
regret it. When I talk about living your life without regret, that is just simply being in the present moment with your kids, enjoying them. I remember when I realized that I
Mhm.
spent more waking hours during the week at work than I did with my kids. That was the
Yeah.
day that I took my TV, literally unplugged it, and brought it to Goodwill. And my kids grew up without a TV because I did not want to compete with a TV because I knew I'd
Mhm.
lose.
Sure.
And then the second thing is, I wanted to be present with my kids every moment that I could, and
Mhm.
thank
For
goodness that
sure.
I did. Now I don't have very many regrets, looking back on the
Wow.
short time that I had with Jesse. But that's part of living a life in joy as well. And this is one of the things that we teach at Choose Love,
Mhm.
is that being present with the ones that you love. And we talk about how to do that. We also give a formula. Where's my finger? A formula for thoughtfully responding in any situation, circumstance, or interaction that you will ever face by choosing love. When you choose love, you take your personal power back, and you cannot always choose what happens to you in
Mhm.
life. I'm
Sure.
living proof of that. But you can choose how you thoughtfully respond, and you can always thoughtfully respond with love. When you do that, you're thoughtfully responding with your prefrontal cortex, and
Mhm.
you're not impetuously reacting, and so therefore you are in control. And it feels so much better when you make things happen than when
Mhm.
you feel like things are happening to you and you don't have any control.
Sure. Sure. All right. We are going to, I can't believe we're already at 10:30. So we are going to do our flash photo stories. What I realize when I bring guests on the show is that people are so complex. There's no way you can put a person into, like, we're literally in boxes in 30 minutes. So I always like to do the flash photo stories, which I've asked Scarlett to send 6 photos ahead of time. And each one, you're going to give us like a 2-sentence story on each, just to get just a little bit more depth before we say goodbye to you. So I'll
uh,
flash the photos. Tell me a 2 sentence or two about each.
I love this. This was Jesse's last photograph ever taken. And it was the
Mm.
last time that I saw him, that morning, walking him out
Wow.
to the car, turning around to give him a hug before he left for school. I noticed that he's written in the frost with his little fingernail on the side of my car, "I love you." And he's
Mm.
drawn hearts in all of my windows. And I hugged him, being present. I was able to realize that was one of life's moments. I ran inside, got my phone, positioned him by
Mhm.
his message, took this picture. This is my goodbye message. I love you. This is the last time I ever saw Jesse. And to give you a quick idea of his personality, he's wearing goofy teeth. You know, the teeth that you wear in Halloween, like this. He wore those into school every day,
Oh,
but they
little
came back
pumpkin.
in his pocket when we got that jacket back. And so, you know, this is being present. You get to really appreciate those moments.
And what's this?
Oh my gosh, this is at the governor of New Hampshire's office. And this is a tremendous moment. Governor Sununu leads the nation in school safety. And he understood. He was the first governor to release his statewide school safety initiative. And that was led and directed by Perry Plummer, and they focused on social and emotional learning and choose love. And this was a celebration of that with Governor Sununu and his wife, Valerie, who used to be an educator. She understood the value. That's the state leading the nation. This is Jesse's message of nurturing, healing, love. This was 3 words that he left. He wrote on our kitchen chalkboard. That's a view into my kitchen.
It feels like you must have said those. Those seemed like such grown-up words. Was that something you had spoken to him about that was part of your family conversation?
No, it wasn't. And I believe that this was a spiritual awareness that he had, that he realized, not in his, not consciously, but subconsciously, that these 3 words are in the definition of compassion across all cultures. And he understood that, had his shooter been able to give and receive nurturing, healing love, the tragedy would never have happened. It was as simple as that. Simple isn't always easy, but that is what informed everything that I've done every single day, all day long in the Choose Love movement. Those 3 words: nurturing, healing, love. We're all connected by the want and need to love and be loved. This is a middle school class in Norwalk, Connecticut, All Saints. And John Cook, one of the first teachers in the nation to pick up the Choose Love programming.
Oh, wow.
And start teaching this. And he is an incredible, courageous leader, and all of his classes now choose love. And you can see the joy in these kids. They love it. They embrace it. I get end of the year projects from them every year. In fact, we have a daily dose of love, which is a daily email that you can sign up for, showing how schools, homes, and communities across the world are choosing love. Please sign up for that. And we've got,
and that's on your website, on the
website, Daily Dose of Love. And then you can see how schools, homes,
and
on
chooselovemovement.org. Okay.
Yes, are choosing love across the country. So this was a really fun picture.
And I figured we had to, this is the final one. It's so precious and so adorable. What's happening here?
So Jesse. Outside on our farm in Sandy Hook, Connecticut, playing in the leaves. Do you remember jumping in piles of leaves?
The funnest.
He's full of joy and laughter and energy. That's who he was from the very beginning, when he tried to crawl out of his bassinet at less than 24 hours old in the hospital and had all the nurses taking pictures of him. Well, this is him. It was surely a challenge to keep up with him. He also left a message for his older brother, who JT found on his desk after he died, that said, "Have a lot of fun." And that also informs everything that we do all day long at the Choose Love movement. The 2 most important choices that we make every single day: choosing love over fear, because the outcomes of those choices look vastly different in our lives, and having a lot of fun. We need to remember to do that even during the pandemic and the anxiety that a lot of people are feeling. The opposite of anxiety is action. And take action, take responsibility for what's going on in our world, and creating the world that you want to live in by choosing love and becoming a part of the Choose Love movement.
Thank you so much. I feel like I want to, because now we're closing, so we're saying goodbye. I'm gonna like put on my power pose and like go forth to like save the day.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. You are just amazing, and your spirit and your joy and the way that you've taken this awful tragedy happen in your life and just really expanded love to the entire world is fantastic. I will make sure that when we post this, that we have all the links so that people can connect. And I guarantee you, I have a call with Jerry at 3 today. He's going to be like, let's get Scarlett on the phone. He's going to want to talk to you about your whole grandparent program, your international grandparent program. He's in for sure. Scarlett,
That's
thank you.
next on our list. Thank
Oh,
you so much,
fantastic.
Deanna.
Thank you so much, Scarlett. Really appreciate your inspiration and for taking the time to join us today and really to inspire other people, because, you know, it's that whole idea of that spark that, you know, if you, like you said, if you are present and really look inside at what you need to do, the power of one person to make, I mean, global positive impact is phenomenal. So thanks for sharing your story about that as well. We will see
We can
you.
all do that. We all have that potential.
Yes. You know, it's also a next week. So next Thursday, I have 2 guests that actually met when one of them was wrongly accused of something horrible, rape and murder. He was exonerated. While he was in prison, he became friends with the guard, and now they have a business. It's a barbershop that helps other exonerees reintegrate. And so I'm so excited to hear their story, not only the spark, but how do you even connect with others to make things happen? So that's next Thursday.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Scarlett, thank you so much for being here. It was such an honor and delight to talk to you.
Thank you, Deanna.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
Thanks,
Sure.
everyone.
Bye-bye.